New York man charged with mailing gun and bomb threats against LGBTQ+ organizations. Watch this.
This is one of the approximately 12 threatening letters David Kilnick has received over the past 8 years. The head of Long Island's LGBT network says in each letter, someone threatened to kill him.
At least for a couple of weeks, I would always look behind me, look left and right to make sure that no one was out there with a gun.
But today, prosecutors announced they arrested the man who they think has been responsible for sending the letters. They say they've recovered at Robert Faring's home in Bayport this doctored Newsday cover, which says horrible, derogatory things about members of the LGBTQ community. Kilnick says one of the recent letters he received said, "They are out to kill you and your boyfriend. You are being watched. No matter how long it takes, you will be taken out. High-powered bullet, bomb, knife, whatever it takes." Prosecutors say they believe the 74-year-old Faring also sent a letter to the organizers of the 2021 New York City Pride March saying there would be radio-controlled devices placed at numerous strategic places that would, quote, make the 2016 Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting look like a cakewalk. Outside Faring's home hangs an American flag with a purple and black bunting. Prosecutors say they found inside 20 LGBT flags that appear to have been stolen from Sayville over the summer and an envelope addressed to an attorney associated with the LGBTQ community, which contained remains of a dead bird.
I went outside in the morning. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and there was a long line of black-light cars.
Neighbors say the FBI was here at the home last month.
I see the FBI guys come out with some bags.
We're glad this is taken care of, but we hope that going forward, that if this letter is received on, hopefully no more letters are received, that people realize you do this, you're going to get caught, you're going to go to jail, and hopefully stay there for the rest of your life.
Prosecutors say that investigators also found in Faring's home 2 loaded shotguns and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. According to the criminal complaint, one of these recent threatening letters was sent to the FBI in Quantico, Virginia for DNA analysis. And according to prosecutors, the DNA on that letter matched Faring's.
A 74-year-old man in Long Island was charged yesterday for allegedly mailing threats to assault, shoot, and bomb members of the LGBTQ+ community and affiliated organizations, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. Robert Faring is accused of sending at least 60 threatening letters to organizers of pride events and other groups over an 8-year period. In one May 20th letter, he cited in the charging documents, Faring allegedly warned that if the 2021 New York Pride March was held as planned, quote, there will be radio-controlled devices placed at numerous strategic places and firepower aimed at you from other strategic places. This will make the 2016 Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting look like a cakewalk, end quote. In a June 9th letter, he warned an LGBTQ+ organizer that they, quote, better be ready to meet your end, end quote, if they attended an event in East Meadow, New York, adding that it's a great place to unload a high-powered rifle bullet from a distance, the court documents allege. In a letter to the same person on June 25th, he allegedly said he was disappointed he wasn't able to kill him. On November 18th, police conducted a search warrant at Faring's home in Bayport, New York, where they recovered over 100 rounds of ammunition, 2 loaded shotguns, 2 stun guns, and a stamped envelope addressed to an LGBTQ affiliated attorney with the remains of a dead bird.
As a city official, this just must be chilling to you.
So it's scary because just the number of organizations that were affected and how these sort of situations can really spread fear through an entire community, you know, and what's behind that. And I think, you know, when I see this and you read the letters, you know, I've got to wonder what is motivating this person, because you don't actually hear about that. Is this mental illness? Is this religion that's doing it? It's concerning because it can be anybody in any of our cities, any of our neighbors that's doing this sort of thing.
One of the things I found incredibly concerning from this story was that he's been doing it for 8 years. Right. Why did it take 8 years, or let's say they investigated?
Well, we had 4. There was an interruption of 4 years.
There was, yeah. But why was it not taken seriously in years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just now they've started to send a DNA analysis and things like that?
I know Al has more to go with this, but there's a local person here in South Florida named Craig Jungworth who has repeatedly threatened acts of violence against the LGBTQ community. And the FBI keeps saying, oh, there's nothing we can do, nothing we can do. He did a brief stint in jail after holding his mother captive in Orlando and not letting her out of the house so she couldn't tell people what he was doing. But they haven't done anything about his threatening to make Memorial Day on Wilton Drive make Pulse look like a day in the park, which was his quote. There's a lot of terrible people, and unfortunately, because it's only the LGBTQ community that's targeted, there's not much people are doing unless there's actual violence committed.
I guess my only observation, or my observation to the story, is that we should be ever vigilant. This washes over all of us in various different ways. I've been involved in 2 events like this here already in 2021. When the Stonewall Pride event took place, I was on the main stage with Kitty Meow and Tony and Faye Watt, and we were going to broadcast the parade in Wilton Manors in Chris's City. And there was a tragic accident, and fortunately it turned out to be a tragic accident, and that is all. But when the event happened, immediately, it was like a virus sweeping through the crowd. This is anti-LGBT terrorism, which is the story that we're reporting on here. Turns out not to be true. But it's interesting to me that the entire experience for the rest of the evening and days on end was the fact that, well, we believe that could be LGBTQ terrorism, and the fact that it ends up not to be, thankfully, is not the issue. The issue is we live in this space of fear, and that's what we learned.
And I want to go back to something you said, particularly about Craig, because I have been on the receiving end of threats from Craig, and I've been the victim in cases with him, and I've had what I thought was the opportunity to sort of, hey, look at this. This to me is a clear threat. But the way the law is written, it's very clear. It's not just a threat, but it has to be something that is clearly actionable, right? And now there's a degree of what is actionable, but man, the law almost makes it easy for someone to sit at home and make insane threats. And as a community, we have to treat every threat like it is going to happen to us, and yet we don't have any ability to really put an end to that. And I think there's a real opportunity for someone to look at revising the law. So if the intention is just to cause menace by making a threat that's not actionable,
and
it
we
should still
we
be
know
actioned
those
on.
those kind of laws can be passed. You cannot threaten the president of the United States.
Exactly.
The threat is considered.
It
a
doesn't
legal
have to be
violation.
actionable.
And if
It
there are
does not
never
have to
any
be.
repercussions, why are they going to stop?
Yeah.
And-
And to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, there are enough people that don't broadcast their intentions that are actively working on actionable things. And I don't mean this to say this to sound flip, but if you've got the crazy uncle at Thanksgiving or at Christmas that's spouting stuff off, and you think there's something real going on, please follow up. At least call someone, give a heads up, because it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It also creates this background noise, like we were talking about the noise, sort of like with what people are doing with, say, the bullying or all these different front lines. When we have people that are out there being allowed to be a menace, it really stops our police, our FBI from actually toning in on those that may not be making menacing comments, but are the real threats to our community.
Yeah, and to your point, one last note on this story in New York. We faced this in Fort Lauderdale. On the 20th of November last month, Pride Fort Lauderdale had the parade. On the Wednesday, Thursday, the FBI reported that they were investigating a person in Wilton Manors that had made a credible threat, and they investigated. And the end conclusion of the credible threat was that they had not done enough actionable items for the FBI to step in and do something about it, exactly to the point that you made. But we're sitting there on Wednesday or Thursday as we're going to broadcast Pride Fort Lauderdale on A1A with an FBI investigation of the event. And for all of us behind the scenes in conversation, we're on a stage and a non-actionable threat has been made. And it is psychological warfare, because they are accomplishing exactly what they want to do. This crazy guy of 80 organizational threats is making the same threats over and over again because he knows it works. It scares. You're fearful. I agree with you, Chris. We've really got to review how our laws respond to the threat of violence, which is different than violence. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+